Hello, and welcome to the James J. Corbalis Water Treatment Plant. This plant is one of Fairfax Water's 2 water treatment plants and is home to state-of-the-art water treatment technologies and a dedicated staff. There's a lot to talk about, but what we're going to focus on in this video tour is how we treat water. Before we start here, let's talk about the source of your drinking water. The very first step in treating the water you drink begins here at the Fairfax Water Potomac Intake. We only treat surface water from 2 primary sources, the Potomac River and Occoquan Reservoir. Water from the Occoquan is treated at the Griffith Water Treatment Plant in Lorton, Virginia. An intake is where source water, or raw water, is pulled into our raw water supply pipes. Screens are used on the intake to block out larger items from getting in, such as fish, branches, and foliage. At the Potomac, Fairfax Water captures an average of 95 million gallons of water daily. From here, the water is pumped through pipes to our next stop. When the water arrives here at the James J. Corbalis Water Treatment Plant in Herndon, Virginia, the treatment process begins when polyaluminum chloride, a coagulant, is added to the water. This is a very important part of the water treatment process because it will make all of the steps ahead much easier by helping to separate the larger organic material and silt from the water. Once the coagulant-treated water moves outside, it then fills up one of these flocculators where the water is gently mixed and stirred. This mixing of raw water and coagulant causes particles of silt to bump into one another and stick together. Then the clumps stick to other clumps, causing larger clumps to form, and another, and so on. These new larger clumps are called floc. At this point, we leave the flocculator and enter the sedimentation zone. The particles are much larger and heavier after the gentle mixing in the previous step. There's no mixing happening here, just calm water. As the water moves from one side to the other, the water will start to look clearer. This is because the floc is settling to the bottom of the basin. Once the floc has settled to the bottom, we begin removing this sediment from the basin. We do this with a mechanism known as chain and flight scrapers. Think of a couple of long chains with long paddles connected. The chains drag the paddles or scrapers along the bottom of the basin and move the sediment into a trench for collection. This step is responsible for removing around 99% of the sediment collected from the Potomac's water. The water looks much cleaner now, but it's not ready to drink yet. Even clear water can have matter in it too small to see, and it may be harmful to drink. Even though this matter is very small, it may still be too big for our carbon filters to remove later. Instead, these organic compounds need to be broken down into smaller compounds. That's what we do here in the Ozone Generator room. First, the water arrives at the ozone contactors. We take liquid oxygen and use electricity to convert it into a gas known as ozone. The ozone is bubbled into the water with diffuser stones. These stones have millions of tiny holes in them, which the ozone travels through and exits as tiny, tiny bubbles. These tiny bubbles are chemically unstable and react to the presence of organic matter by bursting and breaking them down into smaller pieces. This is an incredibly important step to ensure that your water is ready for the next step, filtration. Corbalis has specialized water filters to filter your water. The functional concept behind these filters isn't too different from the filters you may use in an aquarium, just on a much larger scale. The water enters the filters and is pulled through the filter by gravity. First, it travels through 2 feet of granular activated carbon, and then through 1 foot of regular sand. As it travels through this filter media, the extra small particles which were broken down during ozonation are removed here. These filters are biologically active filters. The naturally forming microorganisms present in these filters will clean out the organic matter left behind in the carbon and sand. After your water passes through the filter, it's ready for the disinfection stage. We'll add a small amount of chlorine to eliminate viruses and bacteria that may still be present or may develop as it travels out of the plant and through the distribution system. We also add a small amount of fluoride at the request of the Virginia Department of Health to help combat tooth decay. To help prevent pipe corrosion in the system, a small amount of phosphoric acid is added. We have very precise chemical feed pumps to ensure the exact amount of each chemical is added into the water. Okay, your water is looking great at this point, but we have one more stop before it's ready to head to your tap. The finished water clear well may not look like much from the ground level, but it has a very important job. Underground, each clear well is a 14-foot deep concrete box which can hold millions of gallons of water. The water will travel through the clear well's baffle system and into the finished water pumping station, where your water finally exits the plant and enters the distribution system. These clear wells operate very much like the water tanks in your local neighborhoods, in that they help ensure our customers have the right amount of water at the right time. And remember the solids that we removed? They travel a much different path than the treated water. The first stop for solids is here, at a solids thickener. Settled organic material is concentrated here to settle again before moving on to our next stop, the belt filter presses. As you can see here, the solids are squeezed between two industrial belts and rollers, where they exit into a channel where it drops down. Directly beneath the drop is the bed of a dump truck, which will collect an entire truckload of solids before departing. Our solids are then deposited on a pad to await its final stop, local farmlands in need of soil for their crops. That's the story of your water, as told by the professionals at the James J. Corbalis Water Treatment Plant. This plant, named after our first general manager and one of the founding fathers of Fairfax Water, operates 24 hours a day, 365 days a year to treat and deliver excellent quality water to your home. We're happy you could join us to learn a little more about your water.